To get started with my breakfast tacos, I am going to make some refried beans. Here I have some leftover CHARRO beans. If I had to guess, this is probably right under a quart of beans left over. And if you want to know how I make them, I will leave a link in the description for my CHARRO beans. Okay, so here I am adding a couple tablespoons of lard. You could use oil if you don't have lard or don't want to use it. Once it's melted and my pan is preheated, I am going to add all of my beans. So once you have your beans in your pan, you'll want to season them. That is, if they are unseasoned. For example, my grandmother used to boil beans and keep them and take little by little out to refry them later, and she would season them. But my CHARRO beans are very well seasoned with salt and other spices and ingredients, so I'm probably just going to add some pepper and call it a day. But you season how you like. Once the beans are added, I am just going to let them set and simmer in the pan for about 5 minutes. And once everything is heated through and simmering, then I'm going to start mashing. Okay, so now that my beans are completely mashed, I'm going to continue cooking them and simmering them until they thicken a little bit. Now, depending on how thick you want your beans, that'll determine how long you want to cook them. But right about here is the perfect consistency, because I have other things to make, and as the beans set, they are going to thicken even more, and I do want these to be spreadable. So my beans are done. I'm going to set them aside, and now I'm going to work on my flour tortillas. So here I have 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm adding 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to give that a mix. By the way, I will leave the link to my soft flour tortilla video if you want to check that out for more details. I'll leave 2 links because I've done 2 videos about these tortillas in the past. Hopefully it is helpful to you. Okay, now that my dry ingredients are mixed, I am going to add a 1/3 cup of lard. And actually, if you don't have lard, you could use shortening. You could also use butter. I've actually been in a situation where I've used margarine and it actually worked. I don't know if you want to try that. But again, I will leave the links to the full video on how I make these. So I'm just going to mix in the lard really quick, and then I'm going to add in hot water. And the water should be as hot as your hands can take it. You could also add boiled water and mix it with a fork or a spoon first before you really get in there and start kneading, just so you don't burn your hands. But I just used hot water from my water dispenser, and it works. So now that my 8 ounces of water is in, I am going to continue mixing, and then I'm going to knead the dough for around 10 minutes or until everything combines and the dough is stretchy and soft. Once I'm done making all of my tortillas, I'm going to keep them covered. But of course, there's always little ones that want to try a fresh flour tortilla right off the comal. So I'm going to spread some of my refried beans on one of these delicious tortillas and make tacos for my sons while I continue making breakfast. You're not sure? You can hold it. That's your pop. Okay, moving on to my taco filling. I am going to make a turkey chorizo, potato, and egg scramble. So here to a preheated pan, I'm adding several tablespoons of oil. And to that, I will start by cooking potato. Here I have 2 medium potatoes diced. This is maybe a medium to small dice. And I am going to cook these. You want to start by cooking your potatoes because that will be the longest to cook. So right into my pan, I'm going to season this just with salt and pepper. You can season with what you like. I'm just keeping it simple because there's a lot of flavor in my homemade turkey chorizo, or if you're using a store-bought chorizo, that's fine. Use what you have or use what's convenient for you. Okay, so I am going to saute my potatoes for 15 minutes. And I am working with a medium heat. I'm not going to work with a high heat because then the exterior will burn or cook and the interior will still be raw. So I am just going to keep stirring these around and get some golden brown coloring on the exterior. Okay, so my potatoes have cooked for 15 minutes. They are golden brown. Now I am ready to add my chorizo. I am using a lean homemade chorizo, but if you're using store-bought, that's fine too. Here I have 8 ounces of turkey chorizo. If you want that recipe, I will leave the link in the description below as well. So now I'm just going to create a space in my pan and start breaking apart and browning this chorizo. Now, some of you might think, ew, cooked potato, raw meat. This is all going to cook through by the time it's said and done. So if you have any apprehension of cooking this together, then okay, do it separately, but I've never had an issue. So I am going to continue breaking this apart and browning it until the turkey is cooked through. Okay, so my chorizo is cooked and sauteed. I've mixed it with the potatoes. So now what I'm going to do is cover this with a lid, lower the heat, and allow it to cook covered for 10 minutes. This will definitely ensure the potato will cook through. Okay, so I'm about 5 minutes into the cook time. I'm going to give everything a mix just to make sure nothing is burning. You want to make sure you check that because it just depends on how high or low you have the temperature on your stove. This is not an exact measurement of temperature, so you want to make sure you give it a stir in between the cook time. So once I've stirred everything around, I'm just going to smooth everything out and put it in a single layer, cover again, and continue cooking for an additional 5 minutes, and then it should be done. Okay, so it has been 10 minutes cooking with a lid. So now I'm just going to test the potato and make sure that they are cooked through. And usually what I do is just take my spatula and then I'll just press on a potato, and if it breaks easily in the center, it's soft and done. So now my potato and chorizo is ready for the egg. So first, I am going to add some butter. I had some of these little pre-packaged butters from I don't know where, probably some takeout or something, but I don't want them to go to waste, so I'm going to use it. I'm going to add probably a tablespoon, 1 to 2 tablespoons of butter. You could add oil. And if you are using store-bought chorizo, you probably don't need to add anything because usually store-bought chorizo has a higher fat content in the mix. But I used lean turkey meat when I made this, so I'm going to add a little bit of butter. Okay, so once the butter is melted, I'm going to add 5 large scrambled eggs right into the pan. Now, I will say this, if you are cooking for a larger crowd, you probably want to double what I'm doing. Or if you just want more scrambled eggs from the ratio of chorizo potato and you want more egg, then add more egg. I always like to say, when you are cooking at home and making things for yourself or your family or friends, you're going to ultimately use the ratios and ingredients, seasonings, and spices to your preference. So by all means, if you feel like this needs something extra, do so because you're feeding yourself and you're going to add what you like. So I'm just going to scramble these, and I am one of those that likes a more dry scrambled egg. So if you want to undercook them or make them more of a softer or less dry scrambled egg, take it, cook it as long or as little as you like. So once this is done, I'm just going to reheat my refried beans, and I'll show you how I do that. So here I have my beans, and I'm just going to add maybe somewhere between 1/4 cup and 1/2 cup of water just to reconstitute them and make them spreadable and warm again. Okay, so my beans are done. I'm ready to assemble my breakfast tacos. I'm going to take 1 flour tortilla. I'm going to spread my warmed refried beans. Again, the ratio of these ingredients or how you feel your taco is up to you. So I'm going to spread the beans right in the middle. I'm going to add some of my egg scramble, and then I'm going to top it with some cheese and some Louisiana hot sauce. I know that might sound weird, but I love Louisiana hot sauce. You can use the hot sauce of your choice. I know a lot of my family likes to use Valentina, Tapatio, Cholula, or a homemade salsa. It is up to you. So I'm just going to continue assembling my tacos and get breakfast ready for everyone. Okay, my breakfast tacos are done and I'm ready to serve breakfast. My house smells fantastic and this is a great way to start the day. So I hope you guys give this recipe a try. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching.